What's up, veterans? Stacey Allen here, Valor United. Today at this show, man, we've got a great guest joining us, Andy over at Drop Zone. He's got some great information, going to be talking about disability and what you need to be doing moving forward. And I'm just excited. It's going to be a great conversation. Let's go. Andy, what the heck's going on, brother, man? So good to see you. How you doing?
Not as good as you look, Stacey. How you doing, brother? It's
Oh
been a minute.
God, you must be doing awful if you're comparing the way you feel against my looks, man.
I'm
No, man.
encouraged. I'm encouraged. I'm doing great. Drop Zone's taken off. It's slow and steady, as any new venture is, but I'm proud to be in your orbit. Thanks for having me today.
No, man. I love seeing the smile on your face, and it's good to reconnect. Andy and I, man, we worked together for years,
Yeah.
right? And people grow, things change, but we're still together, man. We're still doing things together, and I absolutely love it. So, Andy, man, tell the world about you. Tell them
Well,
about Drop Zone, and let's go.
yeah, I worked for our previous company for about 5.5 years or so. And then, like you said, people go their separate ways. And I wanted to continue in that space. And I decided that I was going to take it a little bit different direction. So I started Drop Zone Veteran Strategies, which is an homage to obviously wrong side there, my airborne background. It's where I spent several years in the Army. I was an airborne infantryman, and I got out in 2019. I originally joined the service in 2004. Went to Iraq and Afghanistan multiple times, and here I am now in Kansas City, Missouri, living the dream with my beautiful wife and running Drop Zone. And what Drop Zone is, it's a veteran disability education and coaching company. What we do is we walk veterans through proper strategy, right? We don't have anybody throw stuff at the wall. We look at where they are, where they need to be, and we try to build that base, right? And then once you build the base, you're off to the races from there. And we do that by filling in not education, sorry, by filling in evidence gaps, right? And part of that filling in that evidence gaps is obviously education. But then we go through, obviously every single appointment they could ever have, and we educate them through those and the process and what they need to know, the do's and don'ts, and to hows and whys, and mostly the why. You before you do anything, you want to know why, right? And I do it. I'm a pretty no nonsense guy. I'm going to give you action items, and we're going to make sure that you know everything every step of the way. You're never guessing. You're never having to call your coach up and say, "Hey, what do I do next?" Because we're gonna walk you through that process and make sure you know all that stuff. So that's about a 30-second summary of what we do. It's a lot more complicated than that, a lot deeper, as you well know. You've been doing this in that space for years and years, but that's Drop Zone in a nutshell.
Man, I love it, and I'm gonna throw a bone to you, Andy. At our former place where we worked, I looked at a lot of your work, and man, you were so detailed and so just matter of fact and to the point with the clients that you were working with, and I absolutely loved the way that you walked them through the processes. So
Thank
kudos
you.
for you.
Thank you. And I the reason I was able to do that is because I put myself in their shoes, right? I had good mentors, you and Caleb and some other folks, but I put myself in a veteran's shoes, right? I look at myself and I say, hey, Andy, if you're going to go through this process, what do you want? And I know a lot of veterans, they like to talk and they want to build rapport, and that's great. But me, I get on the phone and I'm calling someone for a service. I really want to know, okay, hey, let's get going. What are we doing? Where do I start? What's my first step? And that's how I, kind of attack everything. So if you're coming to me, you're going to get the no nonsense. Hey, this is what you need to do, how, why, and so on and so forth. And hey, it might not be for everybody, right? But
Right.
I'm very aggressive, and I want you to win because I don't win unless you win, right? And so
That's
that's where
awesome.
I stand on it. Yeah.
Man, you hit the starting gate and man, out you go, right? We ain't got time for no shizity, right? Let's get
Right.
busy.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
look, like I said, I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think ultimately when they see the results, they appreciate it.
Yeah, no, 100%. So let me ask you, you and I are obviously we've been in this space for quite some time now, but One thing that I like to ask people that are helping others through this process is why? Why are you in this space? What drew you into this? What keeps you here?
Great question. And a big part of that is I got out of the service in 2019. Again, I joined in '04, and a lot of veterans, they kind of feel that they loss of identity, right? They've been serving for so long. Everything they do is for others. And I looked at myself and I said, I was missing that. So, as I was finishing school, I was wondering, I was thinking about what I was going to do, thinking law school and all that kind of stuff, right? And a good friend of ours, Donnie Witten, he approached me and said, "Hey, I have this opportunity for you. I think you'd be a perfect fit." And when he explained to me what we're doing, my grandfather's a veteran, my father's a veteran, two of my uncles are veterans, I'm a veteran. He's like, "Hey, you get to help veterans still while not wearing the uniform, and you develop this knowledge, and you can help beyond just your clients, right? You come across a guy at a VFW that's having a hard time, or just another veteran at a bar, having a beer or something like that, and you can give them a little bit of a guidance." So I saw an opportunity to build a knowledge base and to really do good work, and I'm addicted to it now. I became really good at it, and now I just want to keep doing it. And if I can help every veteran in the world, great. I know that's impossible. Millions and millions of veterans out there, and there's dozens of folks that do what we do. But if I can just be a part of that group, and I can put my stamp on the veteran community, then that's why I do what I do. So that folks are out there not flailing in the wind, just because they give up, right? It's drinking
Right.
water through a fire hose, and I want to funnel that fire hose into a drip, and tailor that to them, and that's why I do what I do, and it
Yeah.
makes me feel good at the end of the day that I help somebody out.
Oh, for sure. You said something that really resonated with me when you were talking about how you got into this space, and Donnie said you get to do this, right? You get to help other veterans, and I share that with my team all the time. It's not like a normal job that we have to go do. It's not something we've got to do.
We
It's
get to
something
do
we get to do it. It's amazing, absolutely, and I'm absolutely right there with you, brother. So. Well, walk me through. Someone picks up the phone or they go to your website. I think we've got a banner we can throw up, show people how to get to you. But
it. Sure.
what's the process here?
Well, first and foremost, give me a call. Schedule that free discovery call, no obligations whatsoever. 30 minutes, you get me for as many questions as you need, and I'm going to walk you through what based on the information you share with me. I'll ask you some questions, and we'll get to the nitty gritty. Can I help you? Are you a good fit for my program? Most of the time, the answer is going to be yes, unless you're already at 100% permanent and total.
Right.
But I'm going to walk you through. I'm not a salesman by any means. I'd be a terrible salesman, because I'm not trying to sell you. I'm trying to help you. And I guess that could be my sales pitch right there. I don't know if it works, but I'm
No,
going to
it's
walk you through. Yeah, I'm going to ask you questions. Where have you been? Where are you at? Have you ever done this process, or have you ever begun this process? Rather, I've helped Vietnam veterans that have been denied 100 times, and I've helped folks that are straight out, that got out in the Gulf War, never submitted a claim before in their lives. Pretty much every veteran that has at least one honorable service, or honorable period of service, that isn't at 100% P&T, I can help them out. But I'm going to ask them questions and kind of give them a picture of how I can help them and what it takes. So start with that discovery call. If you do choose to sign with me, you've got multiple options on how to do that. Most folks, they sign up and it's the hey, I win if you win package there, and we go from there. You upload a few documents for me. I will say, having a computer is great. I think it's much easier to do it from a desktop or a laptop than it is a smartphone. But if you're a smartphone wizard, hey, you can do this process there too. Um, you've got to be able to upload some documents. You've got to be able to submit claims on va.gov. And from there, whatever you provide me, I'm going to pour through it. I'm going to pick everything apart, and I'm going to structure it so that you know exactly what you're looking at and what your next step should be. Whether your next step is writing a statement, getting with Valor, for a psyche val or a nexus letter if you need that, and then scheduling those appointments and submitting your claims. I'll walk you through every step so you know how to submit your claim properly, whether it's an HLR, a new claim, an increase, a supplemental, you name it, we've got you covered. And we're going to make sure that you do everything right and that you work through this process with integrity. We are not here to say, to tell you that you have something that you don't, just because it'll get you to the next rung of the ladder. That's not what we do here. That's not what Valor does. That's not what any of us should be doing in this space. And there's bad actors out there. We're not one of them. And what we want to do is bring you through this process with integrity and see you come out the other end healthier, wealthier, and living a better life with the benefits that you deserve. And I know that sounds, canned and practice, but honestly, that's the truth. And it's more than just money. We all know that monthly check is good, right? It's a little bit of security. Pay some bills with it. But Stacey, just about as good as anybody else, all the other benefits that you get. Certain states, hey, no property taxes. Other states, fishing and hunting, right? Here in Missouri, the state of Missouri, I could exhaust all of my GI Bill, all of my VA education stuff. The state of Missouri, as a 100% rated veteran, I could go be a surgeon, and the most that any of my college credits would be was $50. $50
Wow.
a credit hour.
Yeah.
So that's it could amount to millions of dollars over a lifetime, and that's what I want to see our veterans take advantage of, because you raise your right hand, you went off and you did what you had to do, whether it was 2 years, 4 years, 25 years. You did what many, many, many people, 99.9% of our citizens don't do. And so I think that you sign that dotted line, and we signed that social contract as well, and we should take care of our veterans. And you know, that's what I'm here
I,
for.
Man, I love it. And tell you, as you were talking, man, there was so much information that was just flowing out. It was like I was trying to keep up, like drinking out of the fire hose, like you
Sorry
were
about
talking
that.
about.
I get
No,
excited.
no, 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 no. It's great because, it shows your heart and your passion for what you're doing, and you get excited about it. And I do too. I'm with you. I was just soaking it all in as you were talking. But let's break it down just a little bit. Someone gets on the phone with you and hey, yeah, I think I'd like to join up with you, Andy. You get them in the door, like you said, they load up some documents, and then what happens? Let's just break it down step by step there. What happens after they've loaded their documents?
Absolutely. So when a veteran loads their documents, I get a notification from my wonderful CRM there, and it says, "Hey, so and so has uploaded their documentation." I immediately get to it. I take everything, every bit, whether it's a DD 214 or your disability screenshot if you have one, or previous decision letters. Maybe, hopefully, you have your STRs, your service treatment records. I pour through those. I compare, contrast, see where you're at, see where, hey, oh, this is missing, right? You're not rated for this. You have a chronic illness in service, whatever. And then I compile everything. And again, I'm a very process oriented person. So you're going to get step one. We need to clarify or do this, right? And that's before I ever get on the phone with you. So once you upload your documents, I get to work on that strategy. I have everything typed up. I email it to you the morning of or the night before our scheduled phone call. And then when I get on the phone, we're going to go through that and see if you have any questions at all. So I'm going to make that process for you. This is your first step of the process. This is what you need to do, whether it's simply, hey, write a statement for tinnitus if you've never been rated before, right? Okay, that's your first step. And I'm going to give you the tools you need to write a great statement for tinnitus. I'm going to walk you through, hey, when did you first start noticing that ringing in your ears? What led to that ringing in your ears? What noise environment? Is it still there to this day? How does it affect you? All right. You put that information on that page, sign it and date it, get it back to me. I'll look at it, make sure it's good. And then I'm going to give you a guide on how to properly submit that. Step one, click here, right? Step two, type in 526 easy. It's so simple. A caveman named Andy could do
Ah,
it, right? Well, that's my
yeah,
job. So it may seem easy, but that's my job. That's my job, is to make this so easy for them that they don't have any questions. That's my ultimate goal. I know there's going to be questions always, but my
sure.
ultimate goal is to make sure that those questions are minimized and that veteran can breathe like, oh, thank God I have help. You know,
Well, I will tell you, working with a lot of veterans, it can absolutely get overwhelming. You just log into VA, even getting set up to log into VA.gov can be, a chore. But once you're in there, you're like, I don't know what to do. There's so many different directions to go in here. And so that's, where that education comes into play. And so more than just the education is also the strategy. And you were talking about, doing that, gap analysis, finding
Mhm.
out what they have and what's missing, and helping them identify those gaps to fill in, right?
Perfect. Glad you said that. So the way that I work and the way that I'm sure you work, because hey, you're one of the guys that taught me this process, right? So you look and the VA requires three things, right? A diagnosis of a chronic condition, a in-service event or aggravation, and a nexus, right? So I'm going to look at that. Okay, maybe you uploaded your blue button report or your civilian or your service treatment records. I'm going to look for a diagnosis first. Have you been diagnosed with this condition? If not, all right, let's talk about getting set up with a primary care physician. So if you don't have one, I'm going to help you. Hey, this is your local VA. Call this number, get set up with a primary, right?
Nice.
If you do have one, great. Let's have a coaching call before your appointment. So we talk about, symptoms and, I can poke around and say, do you have this symptom? Maybe we're talking about migraines. Are you, light sensitive, sound sensitive? Do you have to lay down several times? Whatever your symptoms are for migraines, we can go through that ad nauseum on the phone. And also, everything I do, I follow up with an email that summarizes everything we talked about on the phone, so that you're not sitting there having to write notes. So we'll walk you through the process to fill those, that gap analysis. So if you need a diagnosis, all right, we're going to talk about that first. If that's already checked off the box, all right, now you need a nexus. Unless you already have an in-service event or aggravation, which would be in your STRs, right? But if you don't, then we get the nexus. So say you're rated for tinnitus and anxiety or PTSD. What are those two great nexuses for, Stace? Migraines, right? So we're building that not that web, but kind of I guess it is kind of a web. Hey, this connects to this, that connects to that. So that's what we're doing, right? And once we build that out, you get your diagnosis, you get your nexus if you need it, and then maybe you write a statement, maybe you get a buddy letter or a spouse letter. Again, I show you what right looks like on those. I can't write them for you, but I'll show you what right looks like and make sure that you know the information that needs to go into those letters and so on if you need it. And then we'll get you that nice, neat packaged up. You'll have your, those documents saved as properly named PDFs, hopefully, and then you'll get those properly submitted on va.gov. And I know I'm skipping a little. I'm buzzing through this real quickly, but that's the gist of it. That's the
Yeah.
50,000-foot view of how this process should work. And so, yeah, you look at strategy first, then you get that gap analysis for your evidence, the evidence gaps, right? And then the education through all your appointments and submitting those claims.
I mean, that's the key. Yeah, you hit all three of them there, right? So I want to talk a little bit, since you brought it up, about the nexus and about medical evidence. That is really one of the key things that's needed. Without evidence, without the medical evidence supporting your claim, you're really going at it a hard way, right?
And that's where I would say 90% of veterans that I meet up with, they lack strategy for one, and then 99% of veterans lack medical evidence, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So a Vietnam vet may have never gone to sick call, or any vet. I just use Vietnam because I like, because they're typically,
yeah,
that era, my dad and everything. They're the ones that, oh man, we never go to sick. Medical wasn't really, even me when I first joined. You were kind of a dirt bag if you went to medical, right?
right.
Back in the early 2000s. So a lot of folks don't have anything in their service treatment records because they avoided stuff. So that's why we establish first your presumptive conditions. If you don't have any service treatment records, if you avoided sick call like the plague, we're going to establish your foundation so that we can build that first story on there. And your foundation is going to be your presumptive. So if you're a Gulf War vet, if you were a Vietnam vet, PACT Act stuff, right? We're going to look at that. We're going to look at tinnitus if you were involved in a loud noise environment, all that kind of stuff. So we'll build our base, right? We'll build that base. And then from there, you're going to need a Nexus service to build that first story, the second story, and then hopefully that third story of the building gets you to 100%,
Right.
or wherever you deserve to be. Not every vet gets 100. So
Right.
yeah, so we'll build on that. And Nexus letters are extremely important. Like literally, I mean, it says in the VA, you must have a Nexus, and if you don't have that in service provable event, then you're going to have to get a Nexus letter from a licensed physician, or a board certified psychologist or something along those lines, right?
Right. Yeah.
Whatever licensure that physician that requires. So what a nexus is It's a letter from a physician that basically has looked over all your records, has examined you or interviewed you, has had that conversation, and then they can put two and two together and say, well, this veteran is dealing with this condition or these conditions. In my opinion, my medical opinion, that those conditions or that condition is the most likely cause of, or the most likely effect or aggravates or causes directly this other condition. Therefore,
Right.
it should also be service connected. And that's extremely important. Unfortunately, the vast majority of physicians have no idea how to write those letters because veterans are less than 1% of the population. And we've got millions of doctors out there. So
Yeah.
that's why
And
it's important to find a network like Valor.
yeah, thank you. And I'm gonna key off of that and just kind of add on to that. So listen, doctors, your primary care physician, Andy said, yeah, they can write you a Nexus letter. A lot of them won't because they don't know how or they don't want to get involved in government stuff and all that kind of stuff. But they're not really trained either on how to write a Nexus letter and what the VA needs to see to support that claim, right? Some can, but the majority of them can't. And the majority of them, they get paid to treat you, not to write disability opinions for you, right? So Valor Health, that's where we come into play, and our providers are all trained in their specialties, and they know how to do this. So really good process. We'll throw up our information on here. If you're working with someone already and you're needing a Nexus letter or a DBQ or a mental health opinion or a number of other services, we can provide that over there at valorhealth.net. Just go on there. You can sign up for a free case evaluation and we'll take a look at you. Now, Andy and I, we've partnered up. He's one of our preferred partners. And so if you go to Andy and you're working with him and he says, hey, it looks like you need a Nexus letter. If you do choose to come to Valor Health, he's got a pretty substantial discount code that he can provide his clients when they come over and if they need medical evidence from us. So
It's
if you're
generous.
needing a,
It's very
it's,
generous.
yeah. So if you're not working with anyone already, and you think you need a Nexus letter or you need some guidance, man, get over to Andy at Drop Zone. We'll throw his information up there again. Drop Zone Veteran Strategies.com. Get over there, sign up for that free strategy call, right, Andy? And
Yes, sir.
and
Free.
that's how they're going to get started with you.
Yep. No obligations. We have that conversation, and if you like what I'm, bringing to the table, then sign on up, and we'll get you on the road to your benefits. And I had a guy just the other day, well, about a month ago, go from 70 to 100 in 30 days exactly, and then another guy go from 0 to 50. His base, right, that we were talking about, all his presumptives and his STRs, 0 to 50 in 28 days. So,
Love it.
you know,
Love it.
now
Hey, I
those
want to
are
I want to
anomalies.
Well, I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah.
seen Valor Health. They've been passing these things through really fast
Yeah.
over the past few months. So it's good to see. I want to swing back to what you said about building that base, and you talked about the presumptives and the STRs, but does that exclude veterans that were never deployed or
It
that?
doesn't. No, sorry. And
Okay.
I know I harp on the PACT Act and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So if you never deployed, say again, and I must have said tinnitus 10 times in this call, but things like tinnitus are also presumptives. There's also Camp Lejeune folks that have presumptive claims. Any toxic environments. There's also some folks that were firefighters maybe exposed to certain foams and things like that. There are other presumptives. So I do good catch there. I'm just so spun up on the PACT Act these days. But yes,
Sure.
absolutely. Veterans that never had the opportunity or were just unable to deploy or go to any of these areas, you are not left out of that conversation by any means.
Yeah, great point. Because I mean, we see it all the time that we have veterans finally pick up the phone and call, and it's like, well, I signed up, but I worked in the motor pool all 3 years at Fort Riley, right, or whatever, and I never went anywhere. Okay, well, let's talk about your service there at Fort Riley. Were you working around generators and that kind of stuff? So please don't let things like not being deployed or not being at Camp Lejeune or some of these other presumptive areas stop you from reaching out and at least asking the questions.
Yeah,
We've got
don't do that to
experts.
yourself. Absolutely,
Yeah,
brother. Absolutely. Perfect way to put that. You served, right? Most likely there's something there for you.
yeah. Great point.
And we'll dig it up. We'll fight for you, you
I
know.
love it. I
And
love it. That's
again,
what we do.
and most, unless you choose otherwise, unless you win, I don't win. So
So go on that just a little bit deeper, Andy. So it sounds like you're putting it all out there up front.
Mhm.
The risk is really on you,
Right.
right? You're not asking for anything up front except for that veteran to dig in and learn this process and pay attention to what you're teaching, right?
Exactly what you said, Stace. So there are some options that if you wanted to pay up front, you could, but those are just for veterans that choose to do that. But yeah, the vast majority of my veterans, it's pay later, and that's fine with me because look, that's just incentive for me to work my butt off. I always work my butt off, but hey, again, would you rather come to somebody and pay them already, and then it's like, oh well, whatever it is. No, so you come to me, we have that conversation. You choose to sign up with me. You upload your documents. We go through the process that Stacy and I talked about earlier. You don't owe me a single red penny until you win your claim. And even then, you don't owe it all at once. You could do no interest payments for 4 months, and I charge 4 times the increase. Right? That's below industry standard. And I may be charging less than the industry standard, but my work, and it's far above the industry standard. So I stand by my work, and I'm proud to do it. And no, you don't pay. The only upfront cost would be to any Nexus providers that you have, and that's about it. And again, very generous discounts from them, and it is an investment into your future, and it's a small investment. Could you imagine? Would you rather pay a few $100 for a Nexus and maybe 4 times the increase, and then get that lifelong hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars worth of benefits, or not pay at all and not get anything?
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
way I look at it, right?
What really costs more? Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah. Not doing it will cost you a lot more. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah,
yeah, short little small term investment, long term gain, big time long term gain.
yeah, for sure. Well, Andy, we're coming to the end of our time here, but man, it's been so good catching up with you and being able to share your story and how Drop Zone's doing. And I love the success that you and your veterans that you're working with are experiencing. And we're excited over here at Valor Health to be a small part in what you're helping in the veteran community. So absolutely love it. We're here to support you. Any parting words before we go?
No, I appreciate your time. You and Shanna, the team at Valor, have been amazing to me since I started this venture. And veterans, you're in the right place. Whether you work for me or work with me, rather, or one of Stacy and Shanna and Valor's other preferred coaches or consultants out there, you're in good hands no matter what. I hope you choose Drop Zone, and thank you for your time.
Love it. Let's throw Drop Zone up there one more time for people to see before we go. So again, it's Drop Zone Veteran Strategies. Andy there will definitely take care of you. Jump over there, schedule a strategy call, and at least have the conversation. There's no risk, um, and let's go. Let's get it done. So we'll see you guys next time. If you're not subscribed to our podcast, this episode will be put on podcast, so you can see it on Apple and all those other places too. So we'll see you next time. Have a great day.